Anonita Uttama Shloke Vartaya. I think that's the first sloka of Bhagavatam that I learned. You know what it means?
Sunrise taker.
Sunrise.
Sun taker.
Sun doesn't take, time takes. With every setting of the sun, decreases our duration of life. Except the one who utilizes his time by discussing topics of the Absolute Truth. Uttama Shloka. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Wow, that means, so you people went ahead. No, I was missing some verses here, right? Last few weeks I was not around. Anyway, what can be done? So today we are discussing from Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Chapter 6, entitled Dhyana Yoga, text 25. Okay. Shanair, Shanair. That's a nice verse also. Anyway, Chalega, tell him to relax. That's what's the point now. Later you discuss and later you direct. It's not like in the beginning, otherwise people never come back here. Suraj, you go there, Baba. Shanair, Shanair. Shanai, Shanai. That's very interesting. And it has a different translation. Pramet. Budya Dhriti Kritaya Atma Samstam Anmana Kritva Nakinchit Api Chintayet. Okay. Shanair, Shanair. So, translation and purport by His Divine Grace Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. We're going to read purport now, because we'll see later on what happens with the commentaries. Do we have any volunteers for commentaries? Anybody was assigned? Even that didn't happen today. That's not good. Okay, Om Gyana Timirandasya Gyanjana Chalaka Chakshunalita Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam Stapitamena Bhutale Swamrupa Kada Mayam Lilati Swapanatikam Vandeham Shri Guru Chitapada Kamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavam Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagarana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Deva Shri Radha Krishna Param Sagana Ravita Shri Shakanatam Shahe Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Govishadu Vikakantara Kantana Mastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishyavana Sute Devi Pranami Hari Panchakalpa Tadvyashchati Masambheva Chapatitanam Pramane Vaishnave Namo Namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Sari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama. I can't see you. I see there. Okay, so translation. Purport says, gradually, step by step, one should become situated in a trance by means of intelligence, sustained by full conviction. And thus the mind should be fixed on the self alone and should not think of nothing else. It's a short purport. It says, by proper conviction and intelligence, one should gradually cease sense activities. That this is called pratyahara. the mind being controlled by conviction, meditation and cessation from the senses should be situated in trance or samadhi. At that time, there is no longer any danger of becoming engaged in the material conception of life. In other words, although one is involved in matter, as long as the material body exists, one should not think about sense gratification. One should think of no pleasure aside from the pleasure of the Supreme Self. This state is easily attained by directly practicing Krishna consciousness. Okay. So one very essential instruction in the beginning here, we see what Krishna is advising us. And what we mostly pretty much failed to utilize in practice or apply in practice is that we have the tendency to kind of use the expression to make it more graphic, jump. We tend to jump in our spiritual life. We immediately want to be very high, supreme, topmost, this kind of, something superlative devotee. Immediately we come across something and immediately we expect perfection. We expect perfection in results, we expect perfection in a particular attainment, position, taste that we want to derive, and immediately cessation from all negative things, immediately. There's no patience. So that's a very unfavorable state actually in the spiritual life. That denotes that we don't have much patience, that we don't have actually much realization, that actually we don't have much taste. And when we realize that we have not attained, but we are supposed to attain in a very short period of time, then we have tendency to what? What happens then? When you realize you didn't attain or gain what you're supposed to, then what happens? Disappointment. Yes. What about some hands? A little norm of the class. You have a hand? Okay, so? Fall down, yes.
Try to be.
What?
I try to be.
No, that's wrong. So yes, the tendency is then that we tend to renounce the process. Yeah. So that's a very neophyte understanding that we can achieve. Where is anything that happens immediately in life? Is there anything that immediately we can achieve? Let's say you go to college. Can you get a degree immediately? Unless you're like really exceptional case, like somebody gets a honorary degree or something like this, but you can't count on that. Spiritual life also, you can't count on something honorary, some kind of special anything. Everybody, there is a process, and then it's very clear. Scriptures also, they don't specifically tell us that, okay, it's going to take this much time, because it's not about the time. Time is not the main factor that it's going to influence our spiritual progress. It's not about, okay, maybe I'm practicing for so many years or so many decades, and then now I'm supposed to be here and here and here at this particular platform of realization or whatever. No, it doesn't work like this. It's spiritual life, it's not a mechanical process. Spiritual life is a process of consciousness. So Prabhupada said, when we chant Hare Krishna, if we pronounce this Krishna with a pure mind and consciousness, we can become instantly liberated. What are you doing now? Yeah. We can become instantly liberated. But from another point of view, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, they say that if we chant Hare Krishna also, we can chant for millions of lifetimes and still not become liberated. So it's not a matter of mechanical process. So it's not I do this for that many times, or I do that for that much that many years or whatever it might be, and then I will achieve this and this and this. No, it doesn't work like this. It's a matter of our consciousness. It's a matter how do we apply ourselves. This is why Srila Prabhupada stated in Nectar of Devotion that spiritual life, progress in spiritual life depends on the attitude of a follower. What's our attitude? What's our consciousness? What's our understanding? What's our approach and practice of it? This is how the spiritual life works. It's not just, what mostly nowadays we have that conception of material existence, that it's a mechanical process. Let's say if I hit the wall so many times, then I'm supposed to make a hole in it. Well, it depends also. What if that wall is solid concrete wall or something? That might be a little more difficult, no? So it's not basically pointed, it's not mechanical process. And then if we chant also mechanically, we follow this process mechanically, then we'll get some mechanical results only. Nothing more than that. So it's not going to be very helpful to us. So that's why spiritual process has to be taken as much seriously as possible. Even if it's not, let's say, the quantity might not be large. Quantity might not be large, but what is more important than quantity is quality. With the quality, and then by gaining the taste, the quantity will increase. Let's say you're doing something and you don't like to do it. You're doing something and you can think of anything. Think of your own personal life, whatever. Think of I'm doing something and I really don't like to do these things. Would you ever again like to do that stuff? No, because the taste has remained pretty negative. The experience is pretty negative. So why do we think if I'm chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, I come to temple and I don't like to do it, then would our desire to continue doing it increase? It's not going to increase. It's not going to increase. So it's not just matter of quantity. It's not matter of quantity. Spiritual life is not matter of quantity. It's matter of quality. Let's say I come to temple and I like, what mostly do we like when we come to temple? Huh? Hands, please. Yes, correct, prasada. Okay, that's one of the things. So let's say we like prasada. So then we like prasada, but then of course we can, on the side, gain some other benefits maybe, no? And gradually by having taste for prasadam, then maybe taste for many other things will increase. Yeah, that's how we be. By through something that we like, we can purify and gain taste for other activities or experiences in spiritual life as well. So then, by having a good quality of something and good taste of something, then that will increase in quantity. That's how it works. I know when I came first time to Krishna consciousness, I know my first interaction, I came for some program. It was just my first program that I have attended like this. There was somebody giving class and whatever. And I could relate to discussion, some philosophy, some realizations exchanged and whatever. I could relate to that. Okay, that was fine. And actually I came even before. Usually before, we would have a class set in such a way that there would be bhajans before. Usually that's what would consist of a program. There would be a little bhajan, little music, then there would be class, and then there would be kirtan, standing kirtan, everybody dancing together a little bit for a few minutes, and then at the end prasad. So I know that I've been struggling for many months. Of course, I like the philosophy. That was one of the main reasons for me to attend the programs afterwards. And then I like prasadam. Of course, that was something that really blew my mind. That's something extremely unique. But then bhajans and kirtan, I just couldn't relate to that. Some kind of strange Indian music or something. I don't know. I always think something that, and I never listened to that kind of music. I mean, that was way beyond me. my comprehension. Anyway, I couldn't relate to that, and I really struggled for that for years. But again, as I said, if we have a taste for something at least, then that will definitely change. And that did definitely change. That did definitely change. You know. So we have to find in Krishna consciousness, we have to find something that we can relate to. It's not expected that we could, and we will, relate to absolutely everything. It's not expected. And I don't know, again, how is it possible? Because we are conditioned in so many different ways. We are conditioned for taste, for so many different things. But we have to find something that we like. And if we just continue cultivating that, we'll become purified. And then we'll start liking so many other things that are in relationship to it. And that's how one advances in spiritual life. So gradually, that's why I said here, Shanai, Shanai. It's gradually, step by step. But be focused on quality of whatever one is doing. Be focused on quality. Quality meaning, okay, when I'm tasting prasadam, then I should be focused and conscious that this is no different than Krishna. That's the point. Not just quality of prasadam in terms it should be feast every time and that's the quality or something. No, the quality is in consciousness. That's what we are talking about. Quality is always about consciousness. Not just straight something for the tongue, pleasure of the tongue. But consciousness behind what we are doing, what it means, what it is. That's what is important. So that's why quality is essential. And then it builds up on quantity as well, not the other way around. Not that we have a material disease that quantity is everything. No, quality. Quality. We see, anyway, we want to talk about quality. We see that now, okay, Prabhupada gives an example. In Delhi, there was one famous shop. I think even in Calcutta. Oh yeah, okay, in Delhi. Well, in Delhi, he gave example of there's some sweet shop or something which was selling hot jalebis. And they were of such good quality that everybody knew this is the best jalebi shop in Delhi, and everybody was purchasing from there because they didn't compromise on ingredients. They were like first-class ingredients. Years ago, of course, in West Bengal, everybody knew, like rasgulla. Everybody will know some certain places where it was like first class cow's milk and whatever ghee, not some dalda or some nonsense, I don't know, whatever, some other, whatever, buffalo ghee or something. So the buffalo ghee, first of all, you should know there's nothing like buffalo ghee. Ghee means cow's ghee, nothing like buffalo ghee. Anyway, I don't want to digress now. So whatever it's of the first class, then you know it's quality. And then there will be always some people who will look for the quality. That's the whole point. Somebody will always look. You don't have to water things down for so-called better profit or something like this. Everybody knows in business, if you want to, there will always somebody who will be looking for quality. Like what is becoming famous in the world, it's organic farming, organic food. People are looking, they know, we don't want to eat pesticides and DDT anymore and all kinds of things. And of course, that's not there in the West, it's still here in India, unfortunately. And they want some substantial, real thing. And people are ready to even pay more for the quality. That is the whole point. What is good quality? I don't know how it's here. When I came here to Mumbai, there was some, I don't know if it's still there, but at least let's say 15 years ago, I still know there was that naturals, ice cream naturals. It's supposed to be having some natural ingredients. It is there, Anyway, so idea is quality. If quality is there, there will be someone who will look for the quality. And that's why we should never water down the process that we practice. So in our practice, when we present Krishna consciousness, it's pretty high quality. It's pretty high quality. In the West, we are known as high demanding religion. There's a phrase coined, it's a high demanding religion. What does that mean? It expects a lot from the practitioner. But that's not really the fact. We may just think like this, because actually people really don't practice anything. So when you tell them, okay, you have to follow some principles and you have to do this, I say, ooh, that's a pretty tough one, how to do that. And actually it's not that demanding. It's not. But we've been so unregulated and so unhuman that we don't even know what a basic culture is practically. So that's why it might seem that this is high demanding, this is difficult, but it's not. What is it? Practicing some little sadhana, some little principles, and still one does whatever he has to do in life. It's not as difficult. So when one practices the quality, then one will get good quality result. That's the whole point. But if one has some kind of very not such a sincere approach, not such a sincere desire, then what can one expect? What can one expect? So you don't get much. So as much as we invest, that much we're going to gain. Krishna says, as much as one surrenders, I reveal myself accordingly. So that means how much we approach Krishna, that means that much we want Krishna. And as much as we want, that's how Krishna is going to give himself. If he gives himself more, we may say, whoa, that's too much. No, I don't want that much Krishna. I was planning so many other things, That's too much. So then we may completely cease to desire Krishna. So that's why Krishna reveals he is a very gentleman, and he just presents himself as much as we desire him to be presented. But hopefully, as I said, we will start desiring that to become the case more and more and more and more. And that we will start understanding how it's far better in comparison to anything else in life that can be desired. Why? Because Krishna is the source of everything. Confirmed. Krishna is everything that we are really looking for. He is the real substance. And everything else that we are searching for is really just like shadow. It always deludes us, it always cheats us, it always lets us down. So therefore, when we practice spiritual life with quality, then we can expect some tangible results. And we see that. We see that when we do that, then yes, there are these tangible results. Our days for spiritual life increases. So with the quality, quantity increases. But again, it's not going to happen immediately. It's not going to happen like there's an expression overnight. It doesn't work like that. Sometimes there might be some some kind of urge or some kind of impetus, some kind of desire that yes, we want Krishna consciousness, but then after a while it kind of slackens, it kind of wanes. So that's not really a sign of real taste for Krishna consciousness. That was just some temporary mercy that has been invested in us by the mercy of a devotee, by the mercy of whatever, Krishna may be also directly. But it's not something that we have deserved. That's why we can't hold upon it. And that's why it's temporary. So therefore, it's just from anyone who had practiced spiritual life, we understand that it takes time. It takes some time. But that time can become faster if one is steady and regulated. So that's why here the phrase is, Krishna is telling to us, he says, Shanai, Shanai, gradually, step by step. Step by step. You can say, okay, I can jump further, but then if you jump, what may happen? You break your leg, no? If you don't jump, if you don't, get on your legs properly, you jump too high or too far or whatever it might be. So it has to be step by step. It said like a caterpillar, like caterpillar. Is it jumping like a monkey jumps? I've seen sometimes monkey jump is that miss the branch. It's a big problem. Caterpillar doesn't do like that. Caterpillar goes from one leaf, and then before it gets on the other leaf, it tests the stability and whatever its strength, the whatever position, and then it gets from one leaf to another leaf. That's it. It's a very safe process. It's not that I just jump and then, okay, whatever happens. No. It's not like that. So that's how one in spiritual life also has to know how is he progressive How is he progressing? Where is he going? How is he going? What is going on? You know. So one has to go gradually, and then there is no any shock, even for the certain type of attachment that one may be having. Well, what are the greatest attachments that we have? And you can think for yourself. Is it easy just to give them up immediately? Let's say if we talk about, so pretty much these are all different kinds of addictions. It's not easy to give them up. Of course, we should try our best, but it's not that giving them up will just happen automatically. It will happen gradually by increasing the higher taste for the spiritual life. There are two things that are required for advancing in spiritual life. First one has to understand the negative side of whatever is holding us back to progress in Krishna consciousness. So that's the when we speak about these negative things. What are the resultant consequences of being involved with the negative things? So that one's intelligence has to be very strong. Pointing out to the mind which is addicted, which is attached to something, why this is not good. So that negative side has to be very clear, very strong. And then also there has to be a positive side. What is the positive side? The positive side is how much taste and pleasure do we get in practicing Krishna consciousness? Because we can't just say, okay, this is bad, but then what are you left with? And you have nothing better? This is bad. Okay, this is bad, but if I don't have anything better, then I will still indulge with something that's bad because I get something out of it. No? Even though I know it's not good, but still I have nothing better, then what else is to be done? So that's why there has to be something positive. So when we work on this quality of spiritual practice, then again, gradually, we can leave negative things behind. Okay, any questions or comments on this? So spiritual life, essentially, that's the point now, that it's not something that it's just one can expect some immediate miracles to happen. In general, that really doesn't work. Of course, unless maybe it might happen that you're some yogis from your previous life, and you already have built up certain credit or taste or advancement, whatever, and then suddenly you're reminded about it, and then you can immediately resume where you left off from your last life. But that would be like that honorary degree. Very rare. Not so much to be expected. Any questions, any comments on this? But I like Krishna is here really, it's just really so rational, it's just so realistic. He's telling us that's any advancement, it's going to happen like this. It's going to be gradual. It's like, sometimes you have this Velcro, somebody has any Velcro watch, like Velcro, it's like that, like a sticky, okay, something like this. Or sometimes you get some wound on, and then you put that bandage plaster, and sometimes there's some hairs that go, and then, so what do? You just, you pull it immediately or you go gradually? It depends. It depends. If there is something less, then you do it fast, but there is more, then you have to do it gradually. So like this, spiritual life and our attachments are like that. It's very painful, to detach. It's very painful. So better to do it gradually. Better to do it gradually. No questions on this, that's clear? So we shouldn't jump in spiritual life, because again, if we jump and we find ourselves in completely unknown environments, so to say, circumstances, then it might become terrifying. I know many times some devotees come and say, wow, Prabhu, you know what happens? I'm advancing so much. I think I really have become very advanced. And I'm looking at it, it's like, whoa. And then I have to clarify something. You know, where somebody really starts thinking, wow, I'm so advanced and this and that. And then they sometimes it happens that they become afraid. Oh, I'm advancing too much. You know, maybe all kinds of things happen. So that's why we have to learn how to be, you know, like really, really clear what is going on. And we are fortunate because this process is the process where everything is presented in a very clear manner. It's very obvious what is our position, what is our state. It's a whole science. Science means you can clearly understand. Nobody has to convince you about anything. You can just very clearly understand what is your position on the scale of spiritual progress. You know, where we are, how really advanced we are or how really advanced we are not. It's very clear. And this scale is called from Shraddha to Prema. Yeah, from Shraddha to Prema. Shraddha means some initial faith where we start practicing the process. And then what happens, like we come to temple, we have some initial, maybe there's some substance behind this practice. There's something interesting, there's something beneficial, there's something good about it. Okay. So we have some little faith. That's important. And then after that we start some association is there. Sadhu Sangha. That is the next step. So then we can see, in this step, there's some association, we derive some inspiration, some guidance. And then after that guidance, what is the next step? Then it's bhajana kriya. We start practicing, we start either chanting or we start doing some service, we start, becoming active in this process. And then after that, what follows, it's the stage, which is the longest stage on this scale. And again, it's not about quantity, but it's about quality. That stage will last. How long will it last? Well, that depends on us. That stage is called anartha nivritti. It means clearing of the anarthas, clearing of the lust, anger, greed, madness, envy, illusion, all these unwanted qualities and coverings. That stage is the longest. And then once one is out of that stage, then one has come to the madhyam level. Madhyam, which means steady level. And that it's nishtha. Nishtha means steady faith. So actually faith is always throughout all this process, but it keeps on increasing. One becomes more solid, more firm. So that's a very good, when one comes to this madhyam level, that he's like really steady. He's unshakable from that. Nobody can convince him about anything else. He has enough taste, he has enough realizations. One becomes really firm. And then, of course, there is ruchi, asakti, and then bhava and prema. And that's really topmost spiritual. So all these different levels are very clearly described. What are the symptoms? What is position? What are activities? What is the mindset? What is everything? The whole science is given. So there's not any room to speculate who is at which stage and what is going on. Everything is very clear. So we can very, very, very clearly perceive where we are at. So that's why we have to understand, and when we gradually progress like this, then we can be very clear also where we are and how to get where we are supposed to get. That's also the goal. It's also clear. We should know what is the next step for spiritual advancement. Okay, if there are no any questions on this, then we'll continue. See here what Krishna says. He said, and one should become situated in a trance by means of intelligence, sustained by full conviction. So then how does one become steady again? One becomes steady by conviction. We already said intelligence has to be fortified. How is that? By knowledge, by understanding, by realizations, by application of certain practice. That's with conviction. One has to be firm. So when that becomes the case, then one can become practically in the trance. Of course, samadhi comes later. But mind should be fixed. Here Krishna is talking about, of course, this is dhyana yoga process, but we also practice dhyana. Everything is dhyana, everything is meditation, everything is in relationship to becoming fixed. Okay, and he says here, on the self alone and think of nothing else. Okay, so getting more into direct meaning of this, what it is related to, that's called pratyahara. So this is what is discussed here, where the sensual activities again gradually cease. We hear in Shastra their example of, as what comes to my mind is like Dhruva Maharaj. There's an example of Dhruva Maharaj. He was 5 years old boy. He went to forest by his mother's instruction to look for Lord Narayan, and he started doing tapasya. And he started gradually, he was giving up certain things. He was eating leaves for 6 months only and sustaining his body. Then he stopped doing this. He was just living on air. And then he stopped breathing even. And that became very alarming to everyone, demigods. He felt that heat of austerity. And then, of course, Lord Narayan appeared and gave him blessings. So it's a gradual. He didn't immediately stop breathing. What would happen if you stop breathing immediately? Can you come to that stage? So you can't jump. It's a gradual process. It's a gradual process. So that's pratyahara. Yeah. So the mind being controlled by conviction. That's the only way mind can be controlled, by conviction. And then by also having, as we said, some taste for whatever we are doing. And that's why here Srila Prabhupada explains that there is no more any danger of becoming entangled in material conception of life. So then when one is fixed, then one won't be, that's why I said, that's at least like that Nishta stage. When it's fixed, when it's convinced that this Krishna consciousness process is a very beneficial process, that it's giving one more taste than anything else that material world can offer, and therefore one won't be interested in the material world. Now, if we are getting whatever we are really requiring from this Krishna conscious practice, then we won't have to look for anything else elsewhere. There's no need. Why? We are getting fulfillment of all our requirements, and even more so, of course. That's what happens by spiritual practice. And why would we look for anything else elsewhere? There's no need. So that is a pretty high position, because now mostly when we come, we are always distracted. We are always kind of struggling. Should I practice spiritual life? How much should I practice spiritual life? Well, there's so many other things I have to do in life. I have so many other, I have to still see this movie maybe. I have to do this. I have to go somewhere. I have to, this, that. But there's so many things. It's just kind of, it's some kind of struggle to be really fixed in a fully Krishna conscious practice, because again, we have this kind of desires still for some kind of material experiences, material activities. But when one comes to this stage, when one is really steady, then that is not the case anymore. So Srila Prabhupada explains that although one is involved with matter, as long as the material body exists, but one should not think about sense gratification. So though even we might be in this material body, but we don't think about, trying to only satisfy the body. Of course, body is automatically satisfied. Let's say if we take prasadam, if we dance for Krishna, actually whatever we can do in ordinary way, we can do all these things, but for Krishna. That's the big difference. That's what makes everything spiritualized. So one will never think of doing anything else, but that it's not in connection to Krishna. Like also recently, somebody came and said, "Oh, how can I give up eating onion and garlic? It's very difficult. I have to study, and especially when I go home, everybody's mixing onion and garlic. How can you live it? How can I, And of course, there are many other things, but let's just use this as an example." And I said, well, I personally didn't eat onion and garlic for more than 30 years now. More than 30 years. So then how how did Krishna make arrangement for me that I don't have to be involved with eating onion and garlic? It's by desire. It's by desire. Neither I have desire, neither I have a need, neither I, really have to be exposed or take anything as such. Krishna saved me from all of that because he made arrangement for so many other things that can be taken without it. So it's not like it seems like a big struggle or something. No, it's not. It's a matter of desire. What do we want? And we can always arrange or have something arranged that we don't have to be involved in having to eat something that it's non-offerable to Krishna. No. So it's really just a matter of desire. So if we develop that higher taste and we won't have to be exposed, neither will be ever tempted or forced even, in some cases, to eat. Like I gave example now, onion and garlic. So when we become situated in the spiritual life, then that won't be required. We won't look for any kind of what we earlier thought. This is some kind of sense gratification, something that is giving us happiness. So one should think of no pleasure aside from the pleasure of Supreme Self. This state is easily attained by directly practicing Krishna consciousness. So this is what I said, this is Krishna consciousness. Whatever we receive, we should offer to Krishna. Whatever we have, whatever we want to also have, we should just offer to Krishna. That's why it is Krishna consciousness. Krishna doesn't need it. What is it compared to? Sometimes you must have seen people or yogis or whatever. People come to Ganga, they scoop up the Ganga, they offer it back to Ganga. No. We take the lamp, you offer it to sun. They don't need that. Ganga also doesn't need it. Sangol doesn't need it or whatever it is. We need it. We need it. It's for our purification, it's for our benefit. So Krishna doesn't need, but when we offer everything to him, we benefit. We benefit. What is the main benefit? Main benefit is we develop relationship. That's the main benefit. We develop relationship. You acknowledge Krishna's existence. You start developing relationship with him. If you're just selfish, keep on taking everything for yourself, where is the relationship? Just imagine living with someone and that someone is always taking everything for himself. Where is the relationship? Where is the relationship? And always expecting something from you. Where is the relationship? Means giving and taking. It means both. It's not just taking. It's not just taking, it's also sacrificing. It's also giving. It's acknowledging someone's existence and needs also. Krishna also has a need. Needs to at least be recognized that he exists. That's why we worship. That's why we are performing devotional service. That's why we offer everything to Krishna first. Because we are so badly entangled, so sick practically, that we don't understand that even Krishna exists. We are so selfish to the core. That that's what we really have to do. That's for our benefit. To become relieved from that sickness, actually, of selfishness and self-centeredness. So that's why when we do this, then this is Krishna consciousness. And we do for the pleasure of Krishna. But what it means, giving for the pleasure of Krishna or offering something for the pleasure of Krishna, that means just recognizing Krishna is the root of all existence. That means watering the root. And we are part of that tree. We are automatically nourished as everybody else when we worship Krishna like this. Because when we love Krishna, like nowadays, I was just in one center we have in Chhattisgarh, and I was like, to my dim eyes, it's like it's a very negative, shocking experience. Found out that there's just a little wall that it's like a boundary between the neighboring house and our kitchen and their kitchen. And then I started smelling something really bad. something, I feel some really stinking smell. And then I figured out, it's a dog. Yeah, it was a dog. A dog walking. Then it started barking. That was very clear. It was a dog. Those neighbors had a dog, of course, which they didn't wash. It seems like it's who knows when, but doesn't matter. It was a dog. So it was just very, very unpleasant. Very unpleasant. So that's what people keep dogs, and they worship dogs. They worship dogs. Of course, this one wasn't washed, but usually they would feed and take around for so many other things. And in the West, sometimes they would have the parlors for the dogs, and dress the dogs. They dress them in funny ways and walk them around. And in the West also, of course, you can't just let your dog doing anything. You have to clean after the dog. If the dog goes and relieves itself, you have to scoop it up, put it in the plastic, next dustbin, drop it. You have to do that. So people worship dogs. Sometimes they leave their will to the dog. Dog has a bigger house than some other people in the world, They worship dogs. Yeah, so many things go on. I saw. Where did I see that? Here in Mumbai somewhere. Yeah, there was a car with the open roof somewhere, and the fellow was driving, and dog outside looking at on the roof. That husky, how they call this polar dog, husky dog. You can see he was well fed and like enjoying the ride. So, but we say don't worship dog. We say worship God. And now somebody may ask, what is the difference? Of course, propensity to worship is there. We have to worship someone. I have to worship someone. We say worship God. And of course, somebody may say, no, I'll worship dog. So then you may ask, what is the difference? Is there any difference? What do you think? What is the difference? Relax. Think about it for a moment. What is the difference? Okay, say, what's the difference? You know what's the difference in worshiping God and worshiping dog? Okay, I'll tell you what Srila Prabhupada replied to this, because we don't have much time. Actually, our time is over now. No, yeah, that's there. But on practical level also. What is this? Srila Prabhupada said, okay, what is the difference? The difference is, if you worship, listen to this is very, very, very essential. It's very, very profound. Prabhupada said, if you worship God, then he said actually, if you love God, he said like this, he said, if you love God, you will learn how to love everybody else. And if you love dog, then you will only love your dog. That's the difference. Okay, with this we'll end today. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Anybody having any further questions or comments? Yes.
What if we look Krishna in a dog?
What if we look Krishna in the dog? Yes, we can see Krishna in the dog, and then what are you going to do?
And worship the dog.
Then you're worshipping dog. Then how you're not seeing Krishna? Now think about it. You see Krishna in the dog, but you're worshipping dog. And what's the point? And that means you're not seeing Krishna. It's a matter of consciousness. If you're really seeing Krishna, then why would you worship dog? Krishna, yes, Krishna. Yes, we should see Krishna in every living being. Is there as a Paramatma? That is there. But is that what we are really seeing? That's the question. Why would we still worship dog? We can offer respect to dog. We offer respect to every living being. No? But still worship and real love, that's reserved for Krishna. We can offer some love to every living being. That's okay. That's not a problem. But the real relationship, real everything, and that should go to Krishna. That's the point. And then that's what I said. If you love Krishna, then you will love that dog also. That's fine. But if you just love the dog, and that's why there is a saying in the West: the dog is the best friend. That means you don't have any other. If you love dog, you only love the dog. That's a problem. That means a very low level of consciousness. But if you have such high level of consciousness where you really love Krishna and really love everybody and everything else, that's spiritual life. Yeah. Okay, nothing. We'll stop here. We'll have the next part of the program. Hare Krishna.
Continue